I'd like each of the panelists to tell us one thing that the artist should be aware of how they could get ripped off in the new technology and on the internet. Each panelist, one thing to warn people about, because this naive look at music should be free, we're all artists, is a bunch of crap in a capitalist society. So would someone, each of you just give one warning, please.
I'll give one very quick one. I'll turn the mic over. Don't let anybody put your music on the net without some kind of copyright protection or digital watermarking. Don't let them do it to you.
Get a good attorney. Read the small print.
This is all reminiscent of I used to read magazines and it said, money for your poems. It used to be in the back of a magazine. And they would write songs if you sent them your poems. And those were hucksters. And beware of the hucksters. Those guys are out there. They'll produce your record, and they'll put it on the net, and they'll charge you a lot of money. And so beware of that. There's new tech hucksters.
I think, the most important thing everyone can do, I think, while we're here is try to learn as much as you can. Don't assume that by going to some big company, you're going to get, everything that you want, and you're not going to get ripped off in this whole new, internet thing.
Coming off the heels of such an eloquent panel, they pretty much said it all. I mean, that was the bomb panel, and I would hope that you would know what you were standing and witnessing in front of your eyes, a panel that laid out all kinds of diverse options on what you can do in the 21st century and what's taking place right now. So I wouldn't call what I got to say any kind of keynote, but I will key on some notes. I'm a poet sometime, I'm also joined by head of my production team, Kyle Ice Jason and Brian Hargrove and Flavor Flav and Rah. I'd like to say anything to Kyle Flav before I actually get started.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing, y'all? A lot of people asking me, why not on the website? Why you got a Flavor Flav website? But guess what, though? It's coming, so y'all watch out for the FlavorFlav.com, you know what I'm saying? .com type of shit. But see, the thing is, I don't know how to work a computer, nothing like that. The only thing I know how to do is work a microphone in a crowd. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes Chuck get mad at me because I don't do that right, but it's all good though. But anyway, I'm gonna give y'all back to my partner, you know what I'm saying? God bless everybody, good luck with your careers, your futures, your lives, your families, and all that.
Number one, we won't take up much of your time because it's hot as fuck in here. Take your jacket off and put your hat to the side, relax and recline if you can find some room. All right, like I said before, I'd just like to continue the momentum of the panel before us because a lot of the points were nailed and we want everybody to understand when we go into the 21st century, the millennium, or a term I'm trying to trademark because I'm a poet sometimes, The next decade, I call it the O-Dec. It's simple. It's the decade of zeros, 01, 02, 03. USA Today had a big contest where they tried to call the next decade, whatever, and they had a big contest and people were calling it the Zips, the O's. That's stupid. I'll call it the O-Dec, like the greatest hit of the O-Dec, because the next decade needs a name, and the 90s and the 80s and the 70s all had a name. Now they said, well, I'm perplexed by what we call the next decade. Let's call it the O-Dec. Chuck, you said it first. Where's that VH1 camera? Trying to trademark that shit like Pat Riley trying to trademark 3P. Kind of a fool is that? I'm just gonna key on some notes. Number one, how the fuck, who in the fuck, why you? Well, why me? It's not like I'm not the man, I'm one of the people, and I'm in the middle of the crowd because I know a lot of people had joined in the revolution in the early 90s. I wasn't around in print when print was actually coming to the forefront in 1500s, wherever that was, or radio in 1926, maybe 20 years after Marconi jacked the invention, and people in Kansas were saying, well, I got to get that darn talking box. So I could find out if we're gonna get one of those thunderstorms on my crops or not. And I wasn't around in 1952 when television was this thing after it was so-called invented by a team of inventors in 1938, 39, and
14-year-old farm boy in 19...
Philo Farnsworth.
Hey!
See, we got some techies in the house that are archivists as well and historians. In 1939, they unveiled it at the World's Fair, and Mr. Corporate Businessman, what's his name?
Sarnoff.
David Sarnoff jacked the TV for NBC. And by 1952, everybody had to get acclimated, and you had to get this damn talking box that had pictures on it. The television. I wasn't around in those areas. But the thing about it, we're all around right now at an era that can be parallel to those particular times. I've been fortunate to have been connected with a musical genre that has run parallel with technology. And that's hip hop and rap music. And for anybody that does not know, I mean, what turned me on in 1976 was the fact that out of the band format, because at the same time on Long Island, you know, if you wanted to check out music, you checked out a band, and everybody tried to be like Cool in the Gang or War and shit, and that was cool, but then all of a sudden, you had 150 funk bands, and you wanted something new and different. And me, as a 16-year-old head, I wanted to check something out, so when I went to this place in Roosevelt called Higher Grounds, which was half a basketball court and half a dance party spot, I was amazed that this guy they called a DJ. I was like, damn, what do you got 2 turntables for? Oh yeah, in case one of the motherfuckers break down, he got a spare. I used to like this record by War called Galaxy. Dun, 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 dun. WWRL Super 16, the AM station playing soul in this town, in the city, would say, Gary Burr would say, you're listening to the GBE, and this is War, Galaxy, and they'll play the record, dun, 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 dun. 3-second lead in, and the vocals would come in. People from the outer space, you know? Well, this guy actually was playing this record, and the words wasn't coming in. So me and my naive country ass, I'm saying, that motherfucking record must be about this big. He must got a 50-inch record. Because it just kept going. It was that technical aspect that got me into the hip hop and rap in the first place. Turntables, mixers, drum machines, samplers, sequences, leading all the way up into the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. In 1991, partner of mine, publicist at the time, Harry Allen, had introduced me to actually going-ons of this thing called the internet. Of course, you know, being in Public Enemy, we all got CIA records that we tried to retrieve back from those motherfuckers. Saying like, we know you're tapping our phones. At least admit it, motherfuckers. And they had this, you know, this thing, the government, you know, invented internet where they all communicate and shit like that. Well, our DJ at the time, Terminator X, was known as a guy that chose not to speak. It wasn't that Norman can't speak, but, well, he can't speak because when he says 2 or 3 words, and he fucks up a third, so he chooses not to speak. But he was known as the DJ that doesn't speak, you know, does not speak. So what we had done, Harriet came up with this idea, saying, okay, look, how, you know, we're going to have Terminator X do a solo record, a compilation of different artists.